Hi! In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw this beautiful picture of a lady on the beach. Now this picture is actually just made up of a series of triangles, so I'm going to show you an example that I drew and show you where the triangles are. The first triangle is the top of the lady's body. She's got a triangle coming down, the top half, and then her skirt is also in a triangular shape. The legs are a triangular shape, her foot is a triangle, and even her head is kind of triangular, so it's a bit wider at the top, and then it rounds off at the bottom. It's kind of a mixture between a triangle and an oval. So if you can think of a triangle-shaped oval, that would be a good description of her head. This repetition of triangles is one of the things that makes the picture look really good. There are lots of other triangle shapes in the picture. So her elbow here is at a triangular shape. The C is at an angle to make a triangle. And even the shadow of her feet starts off wider and gets thinner. So it's a lot of repetition of triangles. Now the reason I showed you this is because it's how you're going to start your picture. You're going to draw very lightly the triangle for the top of her body, for the bottom, her legs and feet, and then her head shape at the top. You'll also use the triangle to draw her arm later on. Now these triangles need to be drawn really lightly in pencil, but if I did that on the screen it wouldn't show up nicely, which is why I've shown you here in a nice bold marker where your triangles need to be. What you can do now is pause the video on this image and draw the triangles to help you plan out your picture. Once you're done, you can press play and we'll continue with the video. Right, now I have my triangles drawn really lightly. I don't want them to be visible at the end of my picture, but they need to be visible enough to help me draw my picture. I'm going to be using a marker now, but you can continue using your pencil until you are happy with how the picture has turned out. So what we're going to do is start with her back. Now she's got this triangular shaped back going in at her waist. But the dress is also cut in quite a deep triangle at the back. So let's start on the inside of her back and draw the V for the back of her dress. And then go out equal distances on either edge. So that looks like an equal distance, and come back in. We're going to come back to her waist now. And this is kind of where the triangle for the top of her body and the bottom of her body meet, is going to be where we make her waist. And we're just going to draw a nice rectangle across there. That's going to be her belt of her dress. And then we're going to add in arms. Now the left hand arm is just in front of her body, so we can just see a little bit of it. And it goes in round about where her waist is. And her other arm is bent, so we can see her elbow, and her elbow is in line with her waist, so that we can use as a marker. So come just a little bit away from the waist and make a dot, and you know that's where I'm heading for. That's where we need to make our elbow. So I'm going to join it with her dress, and the top of her shoulder comes at the corner of her dress. We can bring that down there as well, and then we're just going to bring it in at the elbow. Right, now the reason her hands are in front of her is because she's picking her dress up so that it doesn't get wet in the water. And when she picks up this dress, it's got all these folds in it. So we're going to draw them in. So overall, the bottom of the dress is a triangular shape, but it's not just going to be this triangle. What it's going to be is a series of folds. Now don't do the same amount of folds on each side. That will look symmetrical, it won't look right. So I've done 3 folds on this side and then 1 bigger fold on the other side. So all I've done is gone out, it's like a flattened out V, and I'm following the line of my triangle that I drew earlier to help me get it right. Okay, and then I've got one final one that's going to come down to where her legs are. Okay, and then her dress is going to pick up again on this side, and we can let it come out and draw a bigger line there. Okay, now that you've got the skirt drawn, you can bring your arms in so that they go in front of the dress. Now we've got a triangular shape for her legs, but we don't want to just draw triangles for legs. We're just going to use that shape to help us. So the right hand side is going to be straight. That would be like the front of her leg. And then on the inside, we want to show her calf. So we're going to start a little bit bigger, but instead of just drawing a straight line down, we're going to slowly curve it in so that you can see a calf muscle. And then we're just going to draw a little line over there where the other part of the triangle was, and that's going to be her left leg. Now her left leg's forward, she's stepping forward, and we are just seeing the back of her right leg and her right foot. Now we also drew a triangle for her foot, but you don't want to just have a triangle on her foot. Her heel is going to be rounded, so make the top of your triangle rounded, and then it's going to come in a little bit and come out at the base of the foot. And on this side as well, it's going to come out a little bit. So it should pinch in the middle. That's going to be the center of her foot, and then that's the front of her foot on the ground. And then just draw kind of an S-shaped squiggle that trails off. That's just a little bit of a shadow for her body, or it could look like the path from her footprints. Right, we're going to move on to her head finally. So make the neck round about the center of this V, and then slowly scoop it out. And then we've got her head shape. Remember, this is our oval triangle hybrid. And then just draw a little circle. She could have a bun right on top of her head. And if you wanted, you could just draw some lines going in to show the texture of her hair. Then perhaps in the bun it's curved. Right, so we've got our lady drawn now. We're going to draw the sea. Now usually the horizon of the sea is perfectly flat, so if you have a ruler, it's a good idea to use one, just so that you can get that line nice and straight and clean, and make it around about shoulder height on her. Stop as you get to her, then you can continue. Because we want the horizon to look a little darker, we're going to do a second line. You don't have to do this with a ruler, by the way. You could do it as a straight line. And then finally we're going to just draw the water lapping below her. That's again an S shape, but overall it's like a triangle. So there's the one side of the triangle, there's the other side, and then the third side cuts across her like that. When you repeat a shape in a picture, it ties the picture together. Okay, what I'm going to do is make a mark here. That's where I want to start my water, and I want it to end here by her calf. So if you know where you're heading, it will help you draw. And then if you just draw like a back to front S, curving slowly. Okay, and then from there, take it to the bottom of the page. Right, you could leave this now as just a simple sketch, or you can convert it into an ink drawing. Now that's what this one is here, and all I've done to make it an ink drawing is dip my paintbrush in some water and gone over a few of the details on the body. Now I'm going to add a little bit more ink onto my page. I'm going to draw her back here, just a little line to show her back. And I'm going to add a second line in here, just another fold in the fabric. And under each of these folds in the fabric, I'm just going to add a few little lines to be a shadow, to make it look more like a fold. And along the bottom of the dress, we'll add 1 or 2 lines. On her leg, we've already got quite a bit of shading in her hair. If you wanted to add a few lines on the C, you could too. But it's best to not add too many, because then there's just too many details on the page, and it's actually quite a simple picture. It's better to keep it simple. So now that we've added these little details in, we're going to take our brush full of water and start on the skirt. It's a nice big area to start, and there's lots of shading to add. And all we're doing is just getting a little bit of color. You don't really have to add this in it. It looks just as good without, but it's just, why not throw another triangle into the picture? pull a little bit of the ink from the edge. Now this technique works with almost all colors of felt tip pens, so if you'd like to experiment doing it with color, you could use blue pen or blue felt tip pen for the sea, and maybe a little bit of a browny yellow color for the sand. But I quite like just the black and white version with some grey tones. Okay, the other section that we're going to focus on is her hair, just to soften it off, because those are really big thick lines there, because I've used a Koki. If you're using a pencil, you can get nice thin lines and it will look more hair-like. So I'm just softening my big lines by adding paint to it. In the small of her back here, I'm just going to add that shadow in. And on her legs. And then, of course, her shadow cast on the beach. And there we have our picture of a lady on the beach. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. And if you have any questions about how to paint making fake ink, please leave a question in the comment section below, or consider subscribing to our channel. We put up fun ideas every week.